welcome to the lecture number 5 of GE103. So, in last class, we have discussed the basics of C programming, the very basics, that how to start with C programming, the initial a hello world program. I've shown you how to write, and also I have explained you that how to execute C programming in both Ubuntu as well as Windows environment. Yeah, but I forgot to send you the additional video links which explains how to install the Visual Studio Code in your Windows or as well as Linux machine. So with this video, I have shared the links of the YouTube videos where based on which you can install Visual Studio Code in your laptop. So again, the mainly the video that I am sharing with you is mainly on how to install Visual Studio Code on Windows machine. If you have a Ubuntu machine, as I said in my last lecture, that always prefer Ubuntu machine, and if you have Ubuntu machine, then you no need to install any other additional software. Just you open the terminal and you can write your code. And I have shown you in my last class how to write a C program in Ubuntu machine. Okay, I'm using a Windows machine to write all the C programming. This is because this video recording software that I'm using is installed in Windows environment. That's why I have to use Windows environment to record the classes. So for this, I've installed a VirtualBox, and on top of VirtualBox, I've installed Ubuntu for you so that I can at least show you how to run a code on Ubuntu. But for my advice for you will be either you directly use Windows environment or Ubuntu environment. Don't use VirtualBox on top of Windows. That is not recommended from my side. Okay, so we'll start again with the Visual Studio Code. I think it is already open here, and we'll start with a small program again. So if you remember in last class, I have explained you that if you are writing a C program, then this part is very important for you. You have to write this hash include stdio.h, then integer main, then this curly brace return 0, and then you have to close the curly brace. Okay, this is important for you. So one thing you can see here, suppose if I remove everything and if I write integer main here in VS Code, okay, and then if I uh, type this curly brace, if whenever I am typing the first curly brace, it is automatically type means typing the second curly brace for you, and the moment you press enter here, see this curly brace is here. So these are some advantage of good editor. So and this VS Code is a good editor, you will get all these facilities. But if you are writing it in Ubuntu machine, you have to type everything from yourself. But at the beginning, my beginning stage, I think using the basic editor like gedit is important. So at the beginning time, we normally advise students not to use this type of smart editors, but I am using it here. You can use it if you want. I am not restricting you. And suppose here, I have already explained you what is called variable in my last class. So suppose I am declaring a variable called integer a. So what does it mean? What is called integer a? And also, and after this line, if I write a equal to 100, what are these two lines? Again, I am repeating this part. Please understand this. This is the most important part, your programming concept. And from the beginning, from the first class, I said that in computer everything is stored in memory, and if you want to perform anything, then that particular data is fetched from memory to the processor, and it's perform the execution, right? So whatever data you want to store in computer, it has to be stored in memory. So the moment you write integer a, it means that you have reserved a memory location for an integer variable, and you name it as a. It is just a name. It is just a name, but actually you reserve a 4-byte memory. Always remember, a integer type data requires 4 byte of memory. So you reserve 4 byte of memory in your memory, computer memory. So suppose if you remember this slide, in this slide I said if this is your memory, then it is divided into multiple bytes. So the moment you write integer a, the computer will reserve 4 bytes of memory for you. But computer means who? Computer means operating system. Because whatever you are writing here, if you remember my first lecture, I said whatever application you are running, it will run on top of operating system. So whenever you write integer a, so operating system will reserve 4 bytes in this memory for this variable called a. Okay, so maybe if this part is free, and if operating system will take care that it is not reserving you a memory which is currently reserved to anyone else. So suppose assume that this memory, first byte, second byte, third byte, and fourth byte, this memory is free currently. So maybe this memory can be assigned to a to this variable called a. It is possible. So now assume that the moment you write integer a memory will be allocated a reserved here for a. Okay, so and also and if you see here, I say that each byte has a address in memory. This is called address 0, address 1, address 2. Each byte has a number or address, because most of the machines are called byte addressable machines or byte addressable computer. So the memory has a address. This is address 0, 1, 2, 3. Like every byte has a address. So now if you the moment you write integer a, then it means that there is a memory which is allocated, there is a memory location allocated in the computer memory for you. That is fine. But what is the address of that memory? So address of that memory is, in this case, if I say that a is allocated from this byte 1 0 1 2 and 3, this 4 byte is allocated, then address of this memory is 0, the first byte. So in this case, address of your a will be 0. Okay, and now after this, the next line you are saying that a equal to 100. It means that a equal to 100 means in the memory location that you have reserved here, store 100 here. A equal to 100 means integer a means you have already reserved in memory, and now you are saying a equal to 100. So it means that the memory that you have reserved for a, store 100 in this memory. So after this line, 100 is stored in this memory. Okay, that's why if I write this printf, printf is always to print something. So quotation, always remember how I'm writing printf, because this will be important for you. I'm giving a new line, the value of a is, now I want to print the value, so I have to write percent %d here. The percent %d is required for printing an integer. Then come out from this quotation, give a comma, and then write the integer value which you want to print. I want to print the value of a, right? And the last line of any program should be return 0, right? So now let us run this code. Before running, let me clear this terminal, and now I'll run this code. See, it is printing the value of a is 100. How it is printing value of a is 100 here? If you see the code line by line, first line, it has allocated a memory for a. Suppose it is allocated this memory, 1 2 3 4, this 4 bytes is allocated. Next line is saying store 100 in this allocated memory. It means 100 will be stored in this memory. And then next it is saying store the content of this memory. If you write a here, that means you want to print the content of memory. Just in the previous line you have stored here 100. Now if you want to print the content of this memory, always it is the value, it is 100, so it will print 100 here. So this is how a memory works, a computer memory or the variable works in programming. So now if I say that no, don't print whatever you stored in the memory, print the address of this memory. There are two different things, right? See here, 0011, these are the things that you have stored in memory. And these part 0 1 2, I say these are the address of each byte. This is the byte 1 0, byte 1, byte 2, like this. These are called address of the byte, and this is what you actually stored inside a memory. So I now I want to print, I say that no, don't print the value of a, or I can say that no, in addition to the value of a, I want to also print the address where the a is stored. So just copy this, write a new line. If you want to print the address of a, if you want to print the address, then here before a you just use this symbol. If you use this symbol, then now if I execute this, it will print 100. See, it is printing the value of a is 100, and address is this 6422300. It means that this is just an example. Here I said a is stored from byte 0, but actually in real machine it is stored, a is stored in this memory address. So this is the difference of actual value and memory address. So if you want to print a value of a variable, you just use a, or if you want to print the address of this variable, then you use ampersand before a, then it will print the address of that variable. So I hope you understand what is called variable. So when I'll start uh, teaching you from the book, then I'll explain you how, what are the rules to write a variable name. But till now, if I at this moment, if you want to write a project, use variable name a, b, c, d, or a1, b1. It is correct for you. But there is a rule based on which you have to write a variable name, that I will discuss later. At this present, you can write variable name like this: integer a, integer b, like this. Okay, so I think this part is clear. What is called variable, where the variable are stored, how to print a value of this variable, how to print the address of a variable. This part is clear. Now the next important point here in C programming, this is also a most important and most basic thing. Without this point, it is very difficult to write a program. Yeah, and this point is how to take input from keyboard. So if you remember in my second lecture, I think I have shown you a program where I take input from terminal. That first I said enter the value of A, then I entered something, then I said enter the value of B, then I entered something from the keyboard, and then I press enter, and then the computer calculates this two value and displayed the final output. Okay, so now here the question is how to take input, how to output something from computer. It is clear to you now. You can use printf. So now how to take input. So to do this, let us write this program again. I hope you remember this flowchart. This flowchart is for adding two numbers. So first point was read a and read b. So basically we need two variables here, a comma b. You can use this way. You can write two variables. There are different way to write variables. Instead of this, you can also write this integer a, integer b. Both are fine. This is also correct. This means that there are two integer variable you have defined, and their corresponding memory is also allocated. And if you write it in this way, integer a comma b, that is also perfect, nothing wrong. If you write this, then also there will be two variables a and b, and their corresponding memory location will be reserved in computer memory. Okay, so now and we need one more variable here for storing the results. So let us declare it here. So a, b, and r. So three variables are already allocated in memory. Now I want to read a and b. See, it is written read and b. Read means, suppose I can also write it like this: a equal to 20, b equal to 50, and then if I write r equal to a plus b. Okay, what will be the value of r after this line? Computer always execute programs line by line. First line, it will start from integer a, b, and r. So all these variable will be assigned in memory, and then in the memory location of a, 20 will be stored. In the memory location of b, 50 will be stored. And now you are saying r equal to a plus b. If you remember my previous example, I said whenever you write a, it means the value of that memory location, right? And whenever you write at ampersand a, this is, if you write this address of a, that means this means address of a. But if you only write a, it means value of a. So what is the value of a? You have stored 20 here, so value of a is 20. What is the value of b? You have stored 50 in a b, so value of b is 50. So 20 plus 50 is 70. So 70 will be stored in the memory location of r. So what is the value of r now? Value of r is 70. So if you want to print 70, printf, right here, new line, the current value of r is, if you want to print a integer, so percent d, come outside of this uh, colon, inverted comma, and then write the value of r. Okay, so if I run this code now, clear it. You can run it without clearing also, but I'm clearing for just proper explanation. See, it is printing the current value of r is, then in place of percent d, it is printing the value of r, so it is 70. I hope it is clear. Now what I have done here, I am giving value of A directly 20 and value of B directly 50 here. So, but the problem here is you will not understand the problem here. Let me write the code in Ubuntu and then you will actually understand. So this is the same code I have written in Ubuntu environment now. It is a Ubuntu machine. So if you see, I have written the same code here, integer a, b, and r, a equal to 20, b equal to 50, so r equal to a plus b, that is 70, and I'm printing the value of r. Now let us run this code. If you remember how to run a code, I have explained you that open a terminal and then you write gcc and then the file name test3.c, okay, then minus o and the out the in the output file name I am writing here output file as test3. So you can see there is a test3 file already exists. The moment I press enter here, this test3 file will be replaced. This file will be deleted and new file will be created. Just check here. I will look here. Dekha? This file is now newly created. So now what is this test3? If you run here test3, it will execute your code. The result is 70. It means that this is the executable file. This is the executable file. So if in current day, if you see any software, suppose you want to install a software in your Windows machine, what you will do, you will go to website and download a exe file. The same thing will be happen if you want to store the virtual studio code. This is a software. So when you go to their website and you want to install this, then you will download the exe file in Windows normally and you will install it. The same thing is true for Linux environment also. The software that you install in your machine, this is not maybe it is written in C programming or something else, but whatever you download, it's actually executable file. It's a file like this test.3. Okay, this is the executable file. You can install it. But now the problem here is once you have created an executable file, you cannot change anything here. So every time here, if you run this code, every time you run this code, this test.c, it will only print 70. Every time you run this code, it will only print 70. Can you change the value of a and b? What is the just open the program here. This is the program. So here I'm hard coded a equal to 20, b equal to 50. Can you change the value? If you can change the value here, but this is not recommended. What I'm saying here, once you compile the code and your test.3 is created, so before when you are running test.3, can you change the value? No, you cannot change. It means that if you want to change anything, you have to change in the C program, that is test3.c. You have to change it here and you have to recompile it. Once you create a test.3, you cannot generate you cannot do any modification there. Any modification you have to do here and you have to recompile the code. So it means that it is important for you, so that there should be a function in C which allow you to insert something from the keyboard, right? So that part is very important. So that's why I said how to use keyboard to insert. So if we go back here, this is again I'm coming I am in Windows environment. I'll remove these two lines, and instead of also this is called hard coding. Hard coding means I am hard coded, I am just directly giving the values of a and b from the programming, from the program itself. That's why it's called coded value. No, I don't want hard coded value. Now I want to let the user of the program in enter this value through the keyboard. So for this you have to use scanf, scanf. Then you write this scanf %d, and then here you have to write address of a. If you write this line, then this particular line will wait for the user to enter a value from a from the keyboard. And then second scanf, then another line %d, then comma, then address of b. Okay, now let us run this code. Don't worry, I'll explain it again. Scanf, scanf. So I think there is a spelling mistake here. So it should be scanf. So see, it was showing an error. So let us run it again. So it is waiting here for me to enter the value of a. So if I enter 20, then again it is waiting here here for me to enter the value of b. So I'll see now it is showing 70. I'm clearing it and I'll again run it for your better understanding. The moment you run this code, it will start executing from here. First, it will allocate three variables in memory, and the moment it come here, scanf, the moment it comes here, it will wait for you. It will stop executing and it will wait for you. How? Let us run this code. I'm running this code. See, first of all, it is allocated a, b, and r in memory, and then now it is waiting for me here to insert a value. And that value, the moment I press here 30, and the moment I press enter here, that 30 will be stored in this a. And after this line, it will there is another scanf. So again, after this, it will wait for me. So enter. See, again it is waiting for me to enter the second value, and the second value will be stored in v. So suppose second value is 70. The moment I press enter, the second value will be stored in b. So what will be the value of a is 30, b is 70. So what will be the value of r will be 100, and then it will print 100. See, after pressing here, 70 is stored in b. So now a is 30, b is 70, so r is 100. And then the printf is printing the current value of r is this 100. So it is printing 100. So what you have understood from here is, if you want to take input from a keyboard, you need to use scanf. And that is the basic difference between scanf and printf. In scanf, you have to write first of all this. If you want to take a integer input, then you have to write this inside quotation, you have to write %d, and then comma, and outside quotation you have to write address of a. Always remember, address of a, if you write this only a, it will show you error. Here you have to supply the address of a. Don't write like this. In case of scanf, you have to write address of b. But in printf, you want to print a value of a variable, only you need to write a, not this. If you write this here, it will print address of r, not the value of r. So this point is very important. This is the most important point, and you will do mistake here, I know. That's why I'm repeating. In case of printf, you want to print a, if you want to print a value of a variable, only use the value variable here. Don't use this symbol at the left side of the variable. But in case of scanf, always use this address operator at the beginning of any variable. Otherwise, scanf will not work. Okay. So, but the code is little bit unclear. Suppose if I run this code here, it is only waiting for me here, but it is not doing what to do. So suppose you have written the code and I am just running it, or just assume that it is running in a Linux environment. इसको Linux environment लिखते हैं. This is my Linux environment. So let me just write this code here. If I change this code quickly here, so let me just write this. So again here I have written the same code in Linux, that is in Ubuntu. And now if I want to run this code, what I'll do, I'll compile it. So I'll do gcc -o test.this. So the code is compiled, and now if I want to run this code, I'll say test.3. Now it is waiting here. So what will happen? Suppose you have written test.3. I don't know the actual code. I only know this file. Suppose after this you have deleted this file, or you have only supplied this output file to me. So the when I executed this output file with /test3, it is now waiting here for me. So actually, what should I supply here? I should supply the value of a first and the value of b first, and then it will show me the final result. But suppose I have just run this. How do I know what to enter here? Should I enter a integer, or should I enter my name? If I enter my name here, because I don't know, na, then see, it is showing something else. So how do I know? It means that whenever I'm designing a software, or whenever I'm designing a program, there should be clear instruction what a user should do at any time. Because here, when I press this value here, this start executing this program, it should show me here that enter the value of a. That should be the case, right? You have to print here, enter the value of a, and then it's wait for us. So I'll do the same thing in here. Instead of before scanf, I'll write a printf. This printf is only to guide the user what to do. Enter the value of a, and I'll give a colon and I'll give a space here. Okay. and then the same thing I'll copy, and I'll also write after this scan, and it will write enter the value of b. Now if you run the code, what it will do, see, this printf is just printing a message, it is not doing anything else. Run the code. uh, कुछ तो गड़बड़ हुआ है. Clear. Run it again. Run the code. Okay, so when I run the code, first of all it execute this line. So and it stored three variables, it allocate three variables, then it is printed this line, enter the value of a. And then this third line is scanf. So in scanf it is waiting for me, but since it is waiting for me here, but I know, because when I'll read this message enter the value of e, I know what should I enter here. I'll enter the value 30 here, I'll not enter my name here. Okay, so the moment I enter 30 and press enter, this scanf function will execute, and this 30 that I have entered here will be stored in the this variable a. And then again after this line will be executed, this is printf, and this is saying enter the value of v. Okay, and then after this it will this line is scanf, so it will wait here 30. Okay, now it is showing enter the value of b, so this line is executed. After executing this line, it is now waiting in place of scanf for me. So now here again it is saying enter the value of b. So as a user, I know that I have to enter a value, not my surname. Okay, so I'll enter 30 here. So the moment I enter 30 and press enter, now that 70, so this 70 will be stored in this variable b. And after this, a is now 30, b is 70, so r will be 100, and it will print the value of r. So now the current value of. So in this program, I have explained you that how to take input from a user. So if you remember my second lecture, the same program I have written for this flowchart. So now let us compare this flowchart and this code again, that I have already done in second class. But now since you know at least some basics of C, let us check it again. The program will start here, so you can assume that program is starting from main. After this you have to use three variables. So you always remember in C, whatever variable you want to use in this program, you have to declare it at the beginning. So I am declaring it here, integer a b c. I will a b and r, I will use three variables, right? So all the three variables are allocated in memory. Then this next is saying read a and b. So basically we need to read the value of a and b from the keyboard, suppose. So only thing, these two scanf is enough. But if you use these two scanf, it is enough to take input from keyboard. But to guide the user what to enter, what not to enter, it's better to use some printf here. So I'm using two printf. So these four line is actually taking it means this read a and b. So it is reading the value of a and b. After this, r equal to this line is written here, r equal to a plus b. So it is calculating the value of a and b. It is adding the value of a and b and storing the result in r. Okay, and the next line is saying output r. Output r means here print the values of printf this. And then the program is end means return 0. So now you can see there is a clear relation between this flowchart and this program. So that's why I said once you can successfully write a flowchart like this, it is very easy for you to write a program like this. So now I'm giving you some assignments. Try to convert this flowchart into C program that I am not explaining. And in next also, if you go here, this I'll explain, this part I'll explain. But if we go here, try to write this flowchart, multiplication of two numbers, or a and b, or you can say multiplication of a number a with 2, 3 and 4. These three flowchart, try to implement these three flowchart in C programming. This is your home assignment. This is your home assignment. I will not check it, but this type of question may come. So please try to write three programs, for one for this flowchart, and this flowchart. Don't go for this flowchart. This is not required now. And what this flowchart is doing is already explained in my third lecture. So I'm not explaining it again. You read my check my third lecture and try to understand what this flowchart is doing, and then try to write a program for those flowcharts. So one more thing I want to discuss here. This point is not related with C programming, but is related with to C typing of C programming, means how to type. So let me remove everything. So as I have already explained you that there are two ways you can write a program. Either Visual Studio Code. This is the software of Visual Studio Code. You can write a code here, or you can write in your Ubuntu platform. And in Ubuntu you can directly write in a basic editor. So if we open my Ubuntu software, Ubuntu machine, again this is my Ubuntu machine. So in Ubuntu machine you can write your code here in this basic editor. This is a very basic editor, it's called gedit, or the very basic. Or you can compare this editor with your notepad of a Windows machine, that it means you are writing in a notepad kind of thing. So this is not very smart editor. Okay, so what is the difference, what is the benefit if you write a code here? There are some benefit. First benefit is, suppose I'm writing it from the scratch. So hash, see it is it is predicting something. It is displaying you the what should be the code. So it is giving you some options. These are called intelligence. But at the beginning of your programming, as a beginner programmer, you can exclude all these and you can completely type everything. But as an expert, I will just use the shortcuts. So we'll use include, then has stdio dot c. It is showing you the options, which will not be the case if you are using a simple editor like gedit or notepad. Now if I write integer and then main, see I just type the first bracket, opening bracket, but it is automatically type the closing bracket. Then if I write the first the opening curly brace, it is automatically typing the closing curly brace. The moment I press enter, what will happen? Press enter. See what happened is, this curly brace is now here, and where is the cursor? Cursor is here, that means I have to type from this line. So see, you can see there is a gap here. This type of gaps are very important in programming. These are called indentation. So indentation is always required to maintain the readability of your code. Otherwise, if I start writing this code from here, it will be very difficult to understand. That's why indentation, maintaining indentation is always important. But here in this editor, if you write, it will always maintain your indentation by default. But let us write a code here. इसमें सारा कुछ डिलीट करते हैं. Okay, hash include. See, it is not displaying anything for you, so you have to type everything by yourself. Then integer main. If I press here opening bracket, it will be here only. You have to type the closing bracket also. There will be no prediction. If you press this bracket, there will be no, this bracket will not print automatically. Press enter. See, now if you type, it will type from the beginning. So it should not type from the beginning. It should there should be a gap here. So you have to maintain the gap by yourself here. Integer a comma b comma r, suppose. And then next you can write return 0, and then your last bracket you have to type like this. So what I'm trying to say here, if you use a basic editor like gedit or notepad, you have to type everything. You have to maintain indentation like this gap and all by yourself. Okay, but at the beginner this is very helpful, because if you do everything by your own from the scratch, then you will understand a lot. So that's why I said try to use Ubuntu, but I am not stopping you to use Visual Studio Code also. If you feel that no sir, I am facing difficulty in writing a code in a basic editor or like gedit and all, and I want to write my code in Visual Studio, I'm fine, no problem from my side for you. You can go for this. But remember, I have not explained you how to install Visual Studio Code in Ubuntu. So that is your own task. You can go to YouTube and try to search it how to install. It is possible to install, but I'm not explaining it here. Okay, so sorry. So till now I have only explained you how to store integer values. That means it means that what I have explained you is, if I have a program like integer main, and I have written a, b, and c. Suppose there are three variables. So these variables are only capable of storing integer values like 1, 2, 3, 4, or -1, -2. That is fine, but only integer variables. It cannot store a floating point value. Floating point value means suppose 5.5 or 5.75. These type of value it cannot store. Suppose if you write a equal to 6.78, and now you want to printf the value of a, the value of a is then percent d and you write a here, then last line should be return 0. So if you do this, what it will print? Do you think it will print 6.78? Let us just run this code. It is printing 6. Printing 6 means since a is the integer variable, if you want to store 6.78 in place of a memory location which is reserved for integer, it will only store the 6. It will drop the fraction part. It will not store 78, 6.78. So how you can store 6.78? For this, the variable a should not be declared as integer. It should be declared as float. Float, float a. If I declare like this, then it is fine, but you need to change something in printf. See, a is not an integer variable now, it's a floating point variable. So the moment you at the moment you want to print a floating point variable, you don't use percent %d, you have to use percent %f. Now if I print it, clear. Now if I want to run this code, see, it will print 6.78000. So it is actually printing 6.78. So this is the difference of integer and floating point variable. And floating point variable normally takes 4 to 8 bytes. That I will explain later when I'll start teaching you from the book. Then I'll explain that why floating point is taking 8 bytes and all. Everything I'll explain. Okay, but now from this lecture, you should remember what is integer, what is floating point variable, and another thing is character. This is another type of another data type, character D. Suppose character D. So character means any character. For example, if I write this, then I can use D equal to, I can store capital S here. Okay, and then if I want to print a character, then I have to write percent %C. You have to use C and remove all this thing. ये सब जरूरी नहीं है. So this is a simple code. Character C. So it is not integer, not float. It's just C. And D लिखते हैं, D. Character D. ठीक है. So it's a variable. Now we are assigning a character called. So what is character? Any symbol in your keyboard is a character. As I said in my second lecture, I explained you ASCII. So I said that whatever symbol I explain in ASCII, that each symbol has a corresponding ASCII value. So every symbol is a character. Every symbol is a character. So character can be a letter like A, B, C. It can be a number like 1, 2, 3, or it can be any other symbol like hash, at the rate, and percent, whatever it is. It's a character. So now if you go for this, the value of D is percent %C. If you want to print a character, then you have to write percent %C here. For integer, percent %D. For floating point, percent %F. For character, percent %C. And here you have to type the variable D. So now if you run the code here, see, it is printing the value of A is, no, it is running the old code. Let me clear it again. It is still running the old code. Save it and then run it again. See, now it is saying the value of D is S. Value of D is S because you have stored S there. So what we have learned today, if we start from the beginning, first of all, I have explained you what is variable, what is the value of a variable, what is the address of a variable, how to display the value of a variable, how to display the address of a variable, and then I explained how to take input from keyboard, that the scanf. Then I said, oh, if you use only scanf, sometime user may be confused what to do. That's why before every scanf you just instruct the user what it needs to be done. So you have to use some printf before every scanf so that user should not be confused. All these things I've explained. Also explained that in case of printf you only need to use the variable name, but in case of scanf you have to use the address operator at the beginning of the variable. All these things I explained. Then I have explained you integer variable, floating point variable, and character variable. So all these things I have explained from the programming prospect. And outside programming, I have also explained you something, which is how if you are writing a code in Ubuntu environment, then what is the difficulty you will face and what are the benefit if you just use a editor. But again, at the conclusion, I'll again repeat the same thing. If possible, try to write your code in Ubuntu environment with the basic editor that is called gedit. Okay, that is called gedit, and you compile it, run it your code in ubuntu environment. And on top of this, if you want to write or if you want to use this type of smart editor which is helpful, then you have to install it by yourself in ubuntu environment. You can just search in youtube how to run vs studio code in ubuntu. You will get some link, you understand it and you install it. But for those who don't have ubuntu, those who have only a windows machine in their laptop, for them, with this video, in the description of this video I'll share two youtube links. You follow those links, and you can if you watch these two videos, then you can easily install vs code in your windows environment. So that was the today's lecture. I'm stopping here. Tomorrow again I will upload one more video, and that video I will continue the basic of C programming without following any book. Actually, I am preparing you for your lab assignment that is starting from next week. Okay, I'm stopping this lecture here. Thank you for watching.